So hello and welcome to the February edition of the Amsterdam Film Show. My name's Kathy Leung and our regular guest critic, David Swatling, is also with us.
Hi Kathy, great to be back.
It doesn't seem that long since we were talking about the January films.
No, but January is a very long month in Amsterdam in the winter and with the rain, and it's a great time to go to the movies.
Okay, and you've been to quite a few.
I've been to a few, yeah.
Good, because we don't just have one review. We have two reviews from David. So we both saw The Florida Project, and then we also have The Shape of Water.
That's right.
Both February releases. We've got a couple of other good releases this month that we'll talk about, Oscar contenders and things, and then a couple of film events. So a bit of everything for this Amsterdam Film Show edition. So, we've both seen a film called The Florida Project.
Yes.
And we had high expectations, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, there was a fair amount of good press, advanced press about the film. I was looking forward to it. And the previews, I've seen the trailer, look fantastic.
Yeah, and it's a fairly low-key film. The director-screenwriter, Sean Baker, he's done this film Tangerine before, which had good reviews, but, it's not a big budget blockbuster.
No, didn't he film that entire movie on his iPhone?
Yeah, well, more than one, I think. But that was it, and an iPhone 5S as well. Not your iPhone X or anything. But he did brilliant things with a low budget, and everyone's very impressed by his work. And this is his latest offering. We'll tell you a bit about the story first. So Mooney, she's only 6 years old. She lives in poverty in a Florida motel with her mother, Hallie. But that doesn't mean the summer holidays have to be dull. Together with her band of motel friends, they fill their days with mischief, begging, vandalism and more, while causing the motel manager no end of headaches. But when Hallie can't make the rent money anymore, can the fun last?
Indeed.
And so what would you say about the film?
Well, I didn't really know what to expect. Like I said, I saw the trailer, which seemed quite funny. I knew that there were kids involved, and these kids are fantastic. So that's the first thing. The 6-year-old actress, Brooklyn Prince?
Yeah, Brooklyn Prince.
Who plays Mooney, is just extraordinary. She's just a bundle of energy and sarcasm, and
her face is just cheek. It just shows cheekiness on it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And she's really the center of the whole film. I mean, it follows how inventive she is of, filling her days of basically a poverty level existence with fun. She's very happy.
She is very happy, and that's what comes across.
And tough as well. Yeah. Not fearless, I guess, is a good word, as only 6-year-olds could be.
And so she's been acting since she's 2, Brooklyn Prince.
Oh my, of course.
But in this role, she really isn't overacting, doing child acting style.
No, she's so natural. So I mean, you recognize her as the kind of kid that annoys the hell out of you, and yet you can't help but try and not smile because they really are funny. When they're doing really annoying stuff. She's terrific. I mean, there's a great scene when when they con tourists out of money to buy them ice cream cones. And it's so perfect. But yeah, like you said, it's not actory at all. It's as if there's just a camera, on these kids and on everyone really. It's really a slice of life kind of movie. Also, I was surprised that it didn't have more of a kind of a plot. I mean, it's really episodic, kind of like, I thought of it, it's kind of like a road movie without the car. So I call it a parking lot movie. Yeah. So much of it takes place in a parking lot.
like Tangerine, lots of street scenes.
Yeah,
outdoors.
a lot of most of it's outside.
Yeah. Well, it's summer as well, so the kids are always outside, really. And that's about their life. It's through their eyes, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, very much. And also, I mean, that's the thing, parts of Florida, all right, everyone thinks of Orlando, Florida as like Disneyland, full of sunshine. And this movie has the kind of colors and sunny colors that make you think you've taken a mega dose of vitamin D, coming straight at the screen. But underneath that facade, there's this level of poverty that you don't necessarily see, hopefully when you go to Disneyland, Disney World, or for a sunny vacation in Florida. You don't see the lives that are really on the peripheral. And and that's, in that sense, that's what the movie's really about. It's called the Florida Project, but emphasis on the project, not the Florida.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's been quite even-handed. I think there's definitely that contrast between the location and the poverty, but he hasn't made it really obvious, and there isn't very much of the Disney world in this film. Maybe they didn't let them have any rights to how protective they are.
But it's kind of the point, though, too. I mean, there's one, there's a lot of humor in this movie.
Yeah.
But a couple of tourists who think that they've booked tickets to the Magic Kingdom Hotel in Disney World, but it's also the name of this really Fleabag motel that they've gotten booked into by accident, and but that's the thing, there's always people out to make a buck, and Hallie, Mooney's mom, who's an incredible young actress, she's really at the core of that, trying desperately to get the money together to pay the rent, on this low budget motel that you're not even supposed to live in.
Yeah, and that's it. There's that pressure on Mooney's mother, Hallie, that Mooney's completely oblivious to, really. And her mother's not a nice, likeable character at all for us.
No, she's the kind of person that you avoid like crazy. They're trying to sell you stuff on the street. It's a really kind of moving scene of her trying to, flog discount perfume to tourists on the streets of Orlando. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, so the director and the writer hasn't sugarcoated the issues at all. He's made her very, very unlikable. So you do have to kind of feel like you have to force yourself to remind yourself that she's just trying to put a roof over her child's head by all the things that she does as well. But irresponsible and childish herself very much.
Yeah. But they're the kind of gritty, documentary style characters that. Oh, what's that? The European director,
British director. Ken Loach.
Oh yeah, like his movies.
Yeah, but with more sunshine.
Yeah, just a little more Florida sunshine.
And there's a lot more laughs, I think, in this style of film. There's lots of laugh out loud moments in this film.
But a lot of that comes from the energy of the kids, and especially their interactions with the browbeaten motel manager, who's wonderfully played by Willem Dafoe. I mean, in the kind of subtle performance that he excels at. Forget about the Spider-Man, villains and that kind of stuff that he does. He does his best work. I mean, he was nominated for his first Oscar 30 years ago for Platoon, but the Oliver Stone movie. And in this, he's again nominated, and it's because he's just so good at these Joe America, everyman kind of guys. And
something about him, although he's playing an ordinary guy, there's something about him that shines, that keeps your interest, that you're following him with your eyes.
Yeah, but that's Willem Dafoe too. Yeah. I mean, he's a magnetic performer, and I was lucky enough to meet him about 30 years ago when he was in Amsterdam, celebrating the 25 years of the experimental theater, the Mickery.
Right.
And that's the roots of his acting work goes back to experimental theater, and he's just sitting in a room with him. You can't. It's like you have to stop staring at him because he just pulls you in. Yeah, in a very subtle way.
He must know it. He must know he's got that.
Yeah, he's got to know. Yeah.
So as a Willem Dafoe, I did feel that I wished he had more of his story in it or something. Although he's been nominated for awards, I feel like he could have been given more to do. There's some hints at some of his backstory and personal life, but I think I personally wanted more of that.
I wondered if maybe there wasn't more of that in the original script. That there was more for him to do. But this director strikes me as the kind of guy who, would be more interested in keeping a random scene of him trying to get these herons off the parking lot. That this flock of big birds that land there. That's more interesting to him than explaining, what his family situation was.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. So, but it hasn't hindered his awards progress anyway.
Oh gosh, no, and he loves that, because he said, it kind of gets him back in touch with the Hollywood. He doesn't live in Hollywood, he lives in New York, and I think he has a place in Rome or someplace like that in Europe. And he's mostly he really enjoys the indie films, and that's the kind of work where his roots are.
Yeah, so I mean, all in all, it's brilliant that he's put himself into this project, the Florida project, and it's worked so well with the other actors, mixture of professional and non-professional. Some of the kids, at least one of the kids, has come from a background brought up in a similar motel kind of existence. And it's the kind of film I want to see right now at this stage of my life. Seems more meaningful.
Yeah. No, I liked it very much. I mean, it wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but I liked the surprises in it, and it was full of them.
It was full of surprises, and now it's less than 2 hours long, but it does feel a bit longer.
Yeah, it's a slow. I found the pace a little slow, but I never found it boring.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah,
I mean, it was really. I just the characters were wonderful to watch, and yeah, not a lot happens, but it doesn't happen interestingly.
Yeah. And the ending is surprising. It's a slightly different change of pace at the ending, or it's a change of tone. Yeah. That was like, I really didn't think the film was heading that way. So in that way, it wasn't predictable.
No, exactly. There's he doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow and give you a present. No, it's kind of like life. This is where they're going, and just imagine the next step.
I recommend it for sure. I'm kind of giving it about 7 out of 10.
Oh, I'd even give it an 8.
And it's screening in a lot of places in Amsterdam. The Cine Centre, the Film Hallen, the Movies, Pathé Arena, Pathé Tuschinski, Criterion, and there may be more as well.
Yeah. It's going to be a popular film, I think, here.
And that's out in Amsterdam cinemas from the 8th of February. Now, earlier in the month, earlier in February, we also had a big release of The Post.
Ah, yes. Also, lots of Oscar buzz around that movie.
And the reason why is because it's starring Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks.
Directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, kind of ridiculous, really. The story, the Washington Post has the country's first female newspaper publisher, and she's facing a showdown with the government over a huge cover-up. How will she handle it?
Exactly. I mean, I kind of wanted to go see the movie because it sounded like I lived through that whole period of time, but I don't really remember the Pentagon Papers that well. I was a little too young and not into politics. But I saw an article recently which talked about the screenwriter who was the same screenwriter who wrote Spotlight. And I thought Spotlight was one of the smartest movies I've seen in a long time, taking a story that we thought we knew and telling it in a way that was full of things that I had no idea how it went. And I thought, if he could do that with Spotlight, then I'm curious to see this because of him writing it.
That is true, because I decided really I wouldn't bother seeing it because for me it feels like I'm bored of the same names, the same directors, the US-centric historical gaze on those stories, like you say. But I do think that, I agree, Spotlight was a really well-written film.
And this is a story about the media versus government, which unfortunately has become incredibly topical again. So it's. But like I said, I really am curious about, is it Josh Singer?
Yeah, Josh Singer, and also Liz Hannah is credited as a screenwriter. And isn't it annoying how it's always the director who takes the spotlight? But, the writing is one of the big strengths about Spotlight. Would you say more than the directing?
Exactly, I think so. I think so too, yeah. And Meryl Streep is always fantastic. She's always great to watch, but it's not surprising she's nominated for 1 billion Oscars. But this is a kind of role. We think of so many women are in charge of the Huffington Post or Vanity Fair or all these magazines, but when she was in charge of the Washington Post, she was alone. She was like the only woman, doing that kind of thing. And there was a huge amount of pressure on her. And that as a story has come of age in a certain sense now too.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see it.
I can't help thinking when I see the trailer, because she's got this puffed up hairstyle, I can't help thinking of her when she was playing Margaret Thatcher. And for me, she looks too similar.
Yeah, well, yeah. To me, she always looks like Meryl Streep, but...
yeah, playing a role. So there's The Post, out earlier this month. But still, an experienced team. So lots of people will want to see it.
I think so.
And from the 14th of February, Black Panther. Director-screenwriter Ryan Coogler, who also did the Creed Rocky film. And it's a new film from the Marvel franchise.
Oh, see, I've been reading little bits about the Black Panther, different, but I don't read the articles always. So I was like, oh, there's a movie about the Black Panthers, which was a radical African-American college group of activists back in the 60s, 70s. So I thought, oh, that's interesting that they're doing a movie about the Black Panthers. Oh, God, I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm sorry.
Well, there was this issue that they changed the cartoon character's name from Black Panther to something like Black Leopard or something for a while because of this sharing a name with the activist
really?
group.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't want the association, but they've taken back the name Black Panther, and it's now back in with the Marvel franchise. The story of Black Panther in this episode: the new king of Wakanda, T'Challa, already faces a challenge for the throne of this advanced but remote African nation. Black Panther steps up and leads the efforts to stop a brewing world war.
Oh, yeah.
The superheroes
again.
Yes. Yeah,
but I'm always curious, how many of the Marvel movies and other characters do you have to see to catch up to where Black Panther comes in?
Well, I think you either really see all of the movies like religiously, or you can, you're really not that bothered. I don't think you need to have to see every single one personally. And this one, the setting is so different. I think people have said the story's, fresh, it's new, it's better told than many of the other Marvel films. So I think it will stand alone really well. It's had very good reviews for the costumes, but the storytelling, which can often be a letdown, is a really good point of this film, and got loads of stars. If you're looking for spectacle and action this month, I think this is your film, really.
Or your film.
Or my film.
I'll go see The Post, you go see the Black Panther.
Absolutely, yeah. And if I was going to go to the cinema, that would be my choice. So, well, each to their own.
Yeah, exactly.
And then just one day later, from the 15th of February, we have The Shape of Water.
Yes.
And you've seen it.
I did. I went to a preview at the Holland. I check the Holland's website a lot, probably about weekly, because they don't necessarily advertise these four premieres or 4 screenings,
right.
Previews. I just happened to see that there was going to be a preview on Monday, and so I got a ticket. And good thing that I decided to right away, because it was sold out by the time that screening rolled around. And I'm really happy I saw it, because I loved this movie. To say what it's about, it's set in 1962, and yet it's a kind of a takeoff on a 1950s creature feature called The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I remember. I wasn't a big fan of monster movies when I was a kid, but it was a very famous movie, and it's been attempted to be remade many times since then, and never got done. But Guillermo del Toro was one of the people who wanted to make an updated version of that, but the studios didn't like the idea that he wanted to give it kind of a happy romantic ending between the femme fatale and the creature.
Right.
That was a little too weird for them.
And they own the rights.
Rights. So he wrote his own version, and that's what this is. And I'm so glad he did, because what he's written, it's like taking a B movie and giving it the AAA treatment. It's so beautifully done. I mean, it's the the art direction, the score, the story, it's all so detailed, and it's like taking this by setting it in 1962, which is like during the Cold War period. It's enough in the past to give it both kind of a fable, fairy tale feeling, but also a kind of a timeless feeling in terms of a story. I mean, imagine Beauty and the Beast, but without Disney, because it's that kind of story, and it's a lot sexier than Beauty and the Beast, too, and it's not for children, not at all. It's a really intelligent movie, and part of what makes it work so well, is Sally Hawkins plays the main character Eliza, who is mute. She's works as a cleaning girl in a government facility, and there's something, she has this quality that in the first 5 minutes of the film, before we get into much of the plot or anything, you fall in love with her, and you just want to follow her on this journey wherever it takes her, and you just hope it all works out well, because she's so vulnerable and yet funny and determined, and she's a feisty character, but in a very gentle way. I mean, I love this movie. I really do. And she and her best friend who lives across the hall, which is Richard Jenkins. He plays a graphic designer for advertising. He's gay, and then her best friend at the army facility or the scientific facility is Octavia Spencer, so a black woman. So all these outsiders, who come together to save the ultimate outsider, the creature, the amphibian man, who, has a fascinating personality as well, even though he doesn't speak, of course. But the interrelationships between these characters. Oh yeah, there's a big plot that has to do with the Russians and the Americans, and they're all trying to, get their own agendas down, which sounds very like what's going on today. But that's not what drives the film forward. It's the characters who you really love.
Do you think it'll win Best Film?
Until I saw it, I was quite certain that, 3 Billboards from Ebbing, Missouri would take Best Film. But I actually think that The Shape of Water has a really good chance, which would be really interesting because, monster movies aren't necessarily Oscar material unless it has, like a Anthony Hopkins character or something like that in Silence of the Lambs. But this, it's also an homage to movies. I mean,
Hollywood loves that.
But it comes from Del Toro's love of the movies himself. I mean, he sets the apartment where the characters live above an old movie theater. And there's all these film references all the way through, and but I didn't get all the references. Okay. You don't need them, but there's so much. I'm sure that if you watch the film, a couple of times, you'd see different things every time. It's.
So, what kind of person would you recommend it to?
I'd recommend it to anybody, and I'm surprised to say that because, like I said, nothing about it really appealed to me. I wanted to see it because I heard, it got all this hype. It's been nominated for 13 Oscars and plenty of BAFTAs, and it's already winning awards. And I thought, really? Well, maybe I better go see it. I've never seen a Del Toro film before, so he's new to me as a director, and I was just swept away by it. You don't have to be into... I don't necessarily like rom-coms, romance movies. I don't necessarily like monster movies or Marvel movies or animated films. But somehow all of these things, they just seem to kind of gel in this story. For me, I loved it.
Would you say it's a cinematic movie then as well? Worthy
of
the big screen?
I definitely think it's a great movie to see on the big screen. It's a really gorgeous, rich, lush film as well. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
And then you've got opportunities to see it at not just Film Holland, Studio K in Oost, Panther Arena and Panther Tuschinski, and the little one, the Outkijk.
Oh, I love that theatre.
And maybe even more screens. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm really happy I went.
And then later in the month, this is another big film with some awards nominees, I, Tonya.
Oh, is that coming here too?
Yeah. It's also an American story, a well-known American story. This one's retold with a bit of a comic twist. So Tonya Harding, the working-class US figure skater, is technically brilliant, but her reputation becomes tainted when her ex-husband tries to take out her main competition.
Oh, I remember that story. It was so horrible. It's a kind of movie that I'm sure it's really good. Margot Robbie is supposed to be fantastic at playing Tonya Harding. But I just, the story at the time, of taking out the competition by, smashing her kneecaps. I mean, it was so disgusting, and I can't get that out of my head. Because, again, there's a lot of little controversy about this film, the redemptive qualities that it may or may not have.
But there's some really strong characters, good acting from Alison Janney as the bullying mother of Tonya Harding. So that's I, Tonya, in cinemas from the 22nd of February. Again, it's a short month. There's a couple of film events, and it's Amsterdam. There are always zillions of film events. We can't share all of them with you. We've just picked out a few. Of course, the Cine Expat series at the Cine Centre.
Oh yeah. The Lebanese film is showed, which has also been nominated for an Oscar. The Insult. As a matter of fact, I read that the first screening was already sold out this week, and they've added another screening. So I don't know if it'll be too late by the time we're on air, but...
Yeah. It's the story of a fight during the construction of an apartment building in Beirut between the builder, who's a Palestinian refugee, and Tony, a Lebanese Christian, and it becomes a conflict of national significance. So it's a film as well in Arabic with English subtitles. It's a courtroom drama with great reviews and very thought-provoking. That's Sunday, the 11th of February. And then another event, one of the few film festivals this month. It's at the Eye, and it's for kids. So it used to be called Fantastische Kinderfilm Festival. They've renamed it now Taartrovers Film Festival, which sounds kind of cheeky, but it actually means Taartrovers mean kind of cake robbers. Yeah, but if you see it and you think, oh, it's for me, it's for kids. And it's at the Eye Film Museum. So from the 26th of February to the 4th of March, there's all sorts of films. The aim is to plant a seed with the young ones that will grow into a budding love for film and a first understanding of film literacy. They're really taking this a bit over the top, I think, myself.
Well, it's the Eye, after all.
Yeah. Well, it's this touring film festival, so they go to several Dutch cities, and they do the same kind of programme. So you've got the films and short films. They've got a couple of children's classics, which are The Never-Ending Story and Matilda. I wouldn't mind watching The Never-Ending Story again on a big screen.
Yeah, that would be great, I think. Yeah.
So that's kind of charming classic. And those are the original versions of those films. Nick Park's new animation Early Man is getting an early screening, but that's with Dutch dubbing. And there's an opening dance on the Monday morning with everyone encouraged to go in fancy dress. There's a lot of information on the website in English, so that's quite good, and it gives age suitability for each item on the programme, which I think is really handy. So that's taartrovers.nl, and they've got this kind of installation playground of the imagination with installations for children to get interactive with film-related activities and stuff. So that's on at the Eye. So those are our film reviews, film events, new releases for February. And before you know it, it'll be March because it's a short month, and then we'll know all the awards winners and things by then.
Yeah, February is a great time to go see movies because all of the things that have been nominated, they try to get them in the theaters for people to see them. On TV, if you don't feel like going out because it's February, you can watch past Oscar winners. They show a lot of those during February, so it's really a great film month.
Yeah, and we'll be back in March with more Amsterdam film events and new releases and reviews. Thanks for joining us.
Ciao.